plaintiff, Felicia Warner, says when she met the defendant, he was a gigolo. And before they got married, he wanted Felicia to be his pimp. Felicia is suing her ex-husband for car damages. Defendant Charles Bullock admits that he used to be a drug addict who provided sexual services to women with low self-esteem, and that he even asked Felicia to be his pimp. Charles insists Felicia is suing him prematurely.
Tell me what's happening.
Mr. Bullock and I have somewhat of a checkered past. We met roughly early 2007. We met through a mutual friend of mine.
What do you mean checkered past? Dope fiends?
Yeah, you may as well say. He was a traveling nanny, so he says. But this friend of mine who I know was ranting and raving about she had this guy staying with him. He was all spectacular and whatnot, and he was this good nanny, but the only thing she ever talked about was the sex they had together. So
didn't he disappear 2 days at a time?
Yeah, he'd always disappear. Anyways, he and I...
Dope fiend? Used to be crackhead?
Used to be.
All right. You see how well I know the game?
Yeah.
She said, yeah, we have a checkered past.
Yeah, pretty checkered.
Dope fiends? Yeah.
Yeah.
He disappeared 2 days at a time? Yeah.
Yeah.
Crackhead? Yeah.
Pretty much the reason why you can't stay put. Anyways.
Recovering, because you said
Yes.
you don't do it anymore.
No, sir.
Good enough. Go ahead.
So in the midst of all this traveling nanny, he was pretty insufficient. So he asked me to help him get himself on the path of cleaning up, which I did for a while, but he just couldn't get that right. So we ended up hooking up, eventually getting married. Before that, he wanted me to be his pimp because he didn't know how to put himself out there right. And he was
She's not telling the story.
Being a chubby chaser. And
chubby chaser for money?
Yeah, for money, for drugs, basically. He was doing a lot of traveling.
That means date overweight women who may have low self-esteem so that they can give you money for your company.
He said to be a nanny, but in my neck of the woods, that's called a gigolo. So that's what he was. But nonetheless, he's still had a good personality. So we ended up hooking up. I probably shouldn't have tried the product, but nonetheless, here we are. But I had to divorce him because he had a hard time getting himself together. It lasted
How many years were you all married?
Just 1 year. We're still kind of close, but
when did you all divorce?
We married in September of 2007 and divorced a year later, that December.
We're going to get to the car damages you're suing for shortly, but let me allow him to give some background.
Okay, Your Honor, let me tell my side of the story. Sure. I mean, she says I was a pimp and that I was a gigolo and so on and so forth, but I didn't see it that way. I mean, I provided services to women with low self-esteem and women that had been abused by, so I just basically provided the service.
About it, they don't necessarily have to have low self-esteem. They just not getting any.
Pretty much.
So I'm not proud of that time of my life, but but right then, it was the thing to do, and
And you all like to pretty up the word gigolo. That's a male prostitute. Period. That's
pretty
what
much.
you're doing. You're selling yourself.
Yeah.
For money, for drugs.
Gigolo.
And I did meet Miss Warner in March of 2007. We got married a few months later, and I propositioned her. Well, really, like before we got married, I basically propositioned her, like she said, to be my pimp because I kind of was interested in that type of work. It's an open market,
Doesn't pay well,
so to speak. Well, if you have the right clientele, manager.
Never.
But we got married, and
I'm just amazed you're sitting here telling people.
Yeah, me too.
What's your price, man?
What's my price?
Yeah. Oh, wow. Just enough for a couple of rocks?
No, sir. It would be $200.
Is it for the nanny or the sex? And that's the part
The sex part costs more than anything, was a little bit cheaper because most of the women had children. So,
I know.
Go ahead, sir.
So basically, we got married, and we stayed married the year. There was a lot of drama during the time that we were married, and I think
why?
And I think that there was more cyber unfaithfulness than it was actual unfaithfulness because I'm always on the hunt, so to speak.
Same difference.
And there were some other family issues that were going on.
Between whom?
No, I mean, well, it was her family, but I was involved with her. So
Okay.
And we got divorced, but I didn't know we were divorced until a year after we were divorced because we were still together. So I didn't understand.
I had no idea where you were.
You were, yeah, that's what I was about to say. You were missing an action.
Yeah,
Well, I wasn't quite missing an action. It's just that she didn't. Well, I guess she
didn't know where you were.
She didn't check every dope house in town.
Right,
Well-
right, yeah, pretty
or
much.
on every rock, so to speak.
Right, under every rock, literally.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And not talking about stones.
Yeah.
What did the rock star do to damage your car?
Well, this is amongst many cars. I've had 3 that he's damaged, but I'm only going to get into this one because this is my fed up point. He was sitting in front of my house one day. He's listening to the radio. He's just wanting to listen to the radio because he smokes. He can't smoke in the house. He drives down the street for more cigarettes.
Hold on, you won't let him smoke cigarettes, but he smokes crack in the house.
Oh, no, he can't smoke crack in the house either.
Oh,
That's where we get the divorce. He can't smoke anything in the house. So he
some
drives
people
down
have
the
that
street.
pattern now. You can smoke weed in the house, but you
But
better not smoke no cigarettes.
Yeah, I've been to them households.
Like that? You've been to households
Yeah,
like
I've been to
that?
households like that.
Go ahead.
He got that car took away, and then he drove somewhere, didn't use headlights, and he got my other car took away, and then now this one here.
What do you mean taken away?
Like, he has no license. If you're going to sit in the car and listen to the radio, that's one thing, but you shouldn't be pulling away from the curb.
Who gave you that story?
The police told it from him.
You know that to be a fact.
Yes, I had to pay money to go get it out of impound.
Okay.
And then he got another car took, and then now with these damages,
Does
I'm
that
just
sound
kinda
like crack
fed up.
moves, ma'am? They borrow the car, go to the crack house, say, I got a car for you. The drug dealer will drive the car
then
around,
give 'em
may
crack
even
for them.
loan it out to people themselves who use it to
the
commit
dope.
crimes, and then they abandon it,
Yeah.
and the tow truck comes to get it.
Yeah. Well, they took it from right in front of the store, which was like a half a block away, but I'm like...
You never pawned a car for crack.
Yes, I have.
Thank you. I know what I'm talking about.
I have to
I know
take
what
it-
I'm
Yeah, he's
talking
pawned
about.
like
man.
3
I've
cars for
been
crack,
around this
actually.
all my life.
Yeah,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
He was loading up some scrap, and we pulled away from the curb, and we're driving, and obviously it's not in there right, so it tilts backwards when we go on this incline, because Duluth has a lot of incline streets there. And it breaks the window. Now we're at the scrap place. We're getting the scrap out of the car. And instead of him letting my son help him, who's standing right there, he just drags it out, scratches the bumper all up. And he's telling me, okay, this is all heavy scrap. You should expect some damages.
Okay.
So,
All right, let me hear from him.
The particular
You're not
morning that
driving
she's talking
today, are you?
about.
Whose car you got today?
No, so I just have feet.
Oh, okay.
I'm being so fucked up. The particular morning, I mean, I woke up. We had spent the night together, me and Miss Warner, and I woke up rather early, feeling vital. I mean, I was feeling really strong, and she was there asleep, and I went out and I pulled a van where the scrap was, and I took my time and I loaded up about 900 pounds worth, and I didn't get my center of gravity right, basically. So when she woke up, I was like, well, I got everything loaded. We're ready to go. And she was like, well, okay. And we hopped in the van, and she didn't pull off fast or anything. She just pulled off normally. And all of a sudden it was just like, bam, you know.
You feel you're responsible for the damage?
I mean, I asked her if she could help me in moving the scrap, but I don't feel I was totally
Ma'am,
responsible.
did he tell you, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
and I'll help you pay
right
for
away,
it?
I'll try to pay for it. He just got himself a job maybe a week and a half or 2 ago. So we were on these payment arrangements, and he gets paid, and he doesn't give me
you
a
had
dime
payment
already.
arrangements?
No,
Yeah,
that's
he signed a
open-ended.
promissory note. At that time, we verbally said
Let's see, you have a note,
at that
and you
time-
claim that you didn't agree that you were responsible?
Well, I knew
What?
that it happened. It was an accident. Like I said, I mean, I loaded it in, and it
You
was.
signed an agreement to pay.
Yes, I did.
What's your defense to that, sir?
that she said that she would
I
help
agree
me,
to
and it
pay
was
for
still
it
my fault.
somehow
When I get money.
Yeah, and it's open-ended. That's what I'm.
when I get some money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's open-ended. I mean, that's the best
He
I
said
can do
he'd
at
give
the
me
moment.
$50 a
Man,
week.
this man's still counting you.
He still can't get it right.
Watch this. You got any money?
No, sir. It's
Oh,
terrible.
gosh.
Plaintiff Felicia Warner says before she married the defendant, he was a gigolo and he wanted her to be his pimp.
And the fact is, quite frankly, ma'am, when there is no deadline, the interpretation is that he is to pay in a reasonable amount of time. And quite frankly, 35 days is not beyond a reasonable amount of time.
He signed that on the day he started working, his first job, this job he had.
You shouldn't have agreed to anything that says when I get my money. Now, for example, if 6 months from now he has not started paying you, then you are entitled to a judgment because you have given him a reasonable amount of time.
He's gotten 2 paychecks already, and he told me he'd give me money out of them, which I probably should have stipulated
Did you
that a
tell
lot
her you'd
more.
give her money out of these 2 checks?
Well, out of the one, yes.
And you have it.
No, then I didn't give her any money.
But
sir.
you told her, but you told her you would.
Yes.
All right. Well, you've breached this contract.
Yeah.
You've breached it because you said on here that you would pay when you get some money. You agreed today that you've gotten money, and you also told her you were going to give her some of that money, but now you admit you didn't. Ma'am, have some specific dates next time because it's interpreted as a reasonable amount of time. And you can go up to 6 months, quite frankly, for it to be a reasonable amount of time on a loan of $1,253. That's for all the folks that are watching too. Don't get tricked with this, I'll pay you when I can. And then think you're going to get your money in a month. That's not happening. Judgment for the plaintiff, $1,253 because the defendant said, I will pay you when I get some money. The defendant admits today he has gotten some money and even promised to pay some of that money he's received already. Has not, therefore he breached that.
Thank you.
Judgment for the plaintiff.
No hard feelings, but I still need to get paid. I don't know. That gigolo thing might still work out for
Maybe
me,
you
though,
should have
actually.
just been my manager. And I'm just saying that she should have been my manager more than my wife or my girlfriend. I think we'd have worked out better that way.